Hi there, my name is Robin and welcome back to Only the Best Fantasy Novels. Today I want to talk about one of the most fun books I've read this year so far, and that is Sebastien de Castell's Crucible of Chaos. Crucible of Chaos is a absolutely rip-roaring, swashbuckling adventure. A great return to the world of Tristia and the world of his previous Great Coats Quartet. And in addition to that, it also features one of the most fun magistrates that Sebastien de Castell has put to page to date. I absolutely enjoyed the Great Coats Quartet by Sebastien de Castell. So when I first found out about this book and his upcoming series, Court of Shadows, to say I was excited was an understatement. But then things got a bit weird in terms of the release. Like there was a little bit of confusion. So first it was announced a Play of Shadows would be the first of the new series, and then we found out there was a change and it's going to be the second of the series, and then it changed back to being the first of the series, and then out of the blue we got this book, Crucible of Chaos, which actually serves as a prelude to that new series. But now that I've read it, I'm not quite sure how it fits, because it's very much a standalone novel, as much as it's set within the world of the Great Coats. It's very much a standalone, and I was so my reaction after reading it, I enjoyed it so much that I immediately went and checked out the blurb for the upcoming book to see if the story would continue, and it turns out that trilogy will feature a brand new character and a whole new, basically it seems like a whole new shebang. So I'm not quite sure how Crucible of Chaos stands as a prelude, but I guess we'll find out soon. But yeah, no complaints. The Crucible of Chaos was a really fun read, and I think the fact that it seems to be a standalone is actually a good thing, because it's a great way to get a taste of Sebastien de Castell's Great Coat series without necessarily investing too much into it. But yeah, what is the book about? It's business as usual for the King's Crucible, who's also known as Estevar. Oh god, hold on. When you hear this name, I'll start where I'm checking my notes. His name is Estevar Valihan de Boros. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, but that's how I'm pronouncing it, because it seems like it matches his whole vibe. But yeah, Estevar is the King's Crucible, the magistrate dedicated to investigating the supernatural and the weird and the wonderful. And it's business as usual for him going about his circuit when he receives a request from an acquaintance of his, who is the abbot of one of the oldest and most significant monasteries in the land. Think of the equivalent of the Vatican in this world, and to go arbitrate a theological dispute among the monks of the monastery. So Estevar is not exactly a religious man himself, but he does decide to go assist the abbot, and what he walks into is a completely messed up situation. Nothing like what he was prepared to, and he already enters the situation with a handicap based on what happened in the events leading up to the novel off screen, quote unquote. But yeah, so that's a general gist of what the book is about. What do I think about it? Crucible of Chaos is everything I like about the Great Coats. It's just this really fun, adventurous adventure story. We have a flamboyant main character who Estevar is one of the most fun characters I've read this this year. He's long-winded. He's verbose. He's a braggadocio. It's compounded by the fact that he's a foreigner to the land of Tristia, so he's a bit different from the locals, and it comes across in his particular flair and pizzazz that he brings to the job. But he is very much a great coat, very much a dedicated magistrate. And he's also on the hefty side apparently. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. He's a really fun character. He's very fun to read about. I generally try to avoid reading blurbs of upcoming books, so I could walk into them with as clean a slate as I can. And I had so much fun reading about this guy and his and the adventure that he becomes embroiled in, based on the Abbot's Call, that I just had to check the upcoming book to see if he would be in it. And unfortunately, it does not seem to be the case. But who knows? There's a reason this book is supposedly a prelude, right? But yeah, he's very everything. For me, he's like the embodiment of everything that makes Sebastien de Castell's Great Coat series worth reading, like fun reading. He's just like a great addition to the canon that is the Great Coats. Another interesting thing about this book is that we get to see some of the fallout of the events of the Great Coats Quartet. So there are some things that happen at the end of that book that were pretty at the end of the quartet that are pretty significant in terms of their ramifications for the world, and no more so would it be felt than in a monastery, where the worship of the gods is thrown into upheaval, to put it lightly, based on the events of that quartet. It was a nice touch. I wasn't expecting it, and as I read deeper and deeper into Crucible of Chaos, I started to get a little reminder. Oh yeah, this happened, that happened, and it was fun. Like, you don't need to read the Great Coats Quartet to understand what's happening, but it does add a little. It does like add a little spice to the book. It just kind of added to the fun factor for me. But yeah, seeing how things kind of went sideways as a result was pretty interesting. Another particularly interesting part of this book was just the contrast. Like, the situation that Estevar walks into is dark, pretty dark. It's more of a supernatural horror situation, and but he's such a fun character. He's such a flamboyant joy to read about. There's no other way to put it. He's just really fun to read about. So you have like all these uplifting, good feelings about Estevar, and then you have the chaos going on around him, and you start to really think about what some of the things that happens, and what these guys have done, and it's a great contrast. It's a really good contrast, and it kind of underlines why Estevar was chosen as the King's Crucible. Like, to be the kind of person he is, and to have to face situations like these as a specialty is it's nuts. It's really nuts. I liked it. I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe it's not like a conscious decision, but for me that was one of like the key selling points of the book, like that direct duality, that direct contrast. There's no other way I could really hone in on that. But yeah, like I don't think I should talk anymore about this, because there's so much I could talk about that, but I don't want to spoil too much. Needless to say, it's a very fun, it's a very exciting read. I went into it with relatively high expectations because I am a fan of Sebastien de Castell's Great Coats novels, but I did not expect to enjoy myself as much as I did. Like, this book was just fun. It was swashbuckling fun at its finest. I've said in the past that I think Sebastien de Castell is one of the writers who's really within like the epic fantasy kind of genre. He's really come. He's really started. He's really delivered some fun books in the veins of sword and sorcery that you don't really get anymore. More on the club, kind of like a homage to like the classic stories that help build fantasy to the genre that it is today. And it's great. It's great. It makes him one of the more one of the more notable writers for me, at least, today. And it's great to see him return to this world, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the story continues in A Play of Shadows, which should be coming out soon, I think. Yeah. But yeah, all in all, Crucible of Chaos, amazing prelude, and I hope we see more of Estevar in the near future. But yeah, if you've read this book, if you're a fan of Sebastien de Castell, if you're a fan of the series in general, drop a comment, let me know what you think. Until next time, thank you very much if you've made it this far.